Gus Slapin of the Slapin-Solomon viola duo, and I'm here today to talk about audible shifts, or what we generally call slides. I think slides are great. I think they bring out the expressiveness of phrases. Of course, you use them more in some music than in other music. Not everybody agrees with me. I think in certain academic circles, slides are sort of looked down upon, and everybody's in music for a different reason, but I mentioned this, that you have to know who your audience is a little bit. So you can't become a chameleon and completely change how you play. You have to play how you play, but you can lean a little bit in one direction or in another, and slides probably fall in that category. If you're trying to pass a jury at a certain institution and you know that the people judging you are not huge fans of slides, you'll probably want to use fewer. And if you're giving your own recital, you want to present it the way you think you can present it the best. So you can slide as much as you like. If you listen to, we don't really know how much people slid in the past, but we do have a recorded history that goes back well over a century at this point, and how people have slid during that time. There is a huge range, especially in the 1920s. You can hear a lot of recordings where they had these very slow slides with a lot of pressure, and they would use a lot of them in a row, and it almost sounded like a cat meowing. It was sort of a it's a very, very unusual sound. You don't hear anything like that today. Even the musicians who generally go out of their way to perform music from a certain era in the style of, as best as we know, how people played at that time. When those people play music from the 1920s, they don't do that, because to most modern ears, that doesn't really sound great. But there are two kinds of slides that have survived and are still used quite a bit today, and so I'm going to talk about those just a little bit and how to do them. People have different names for them. Some people call it Franco-Belgian versus Russian. Some people call them Chrysler slides and Heifetz slides. I grew up with the latter terminology, so that's what I'm going to use. But the reality is that the great violinist Fritz Kreisler and the great violinist Jascha Heifetz, they both used both slides. But Kreisler tended to use Chrysler slides more, and Heifetz tended to use Heifetz slides more. I'm going to start with the Chrysler slide. So I'm just going to start on an E on the D string, and I'm first finger, and I'm going to go to a B, third finger, in third position on the same string. And the Chrysler version of that is so you slide with the first finger. In this case, it's to about the G at third position, and then you throw down the third finger. So you sort of have a slide from the low note up a little bit, and then the third finger gets thrown down. That has a really specific sound, I think, in today's musical world. It sort of sounds like something from a Viennese waltz, maybe pre-World War I Viennese sound. It's a certain thing, but it's not only confined to that music. You can hear people use that kind of slide elsewhere. So that slide actually doesn't really, on string instruments, we really try to approximate great singing. But that particular slide is a little unique, because no singer sort of goes up a certain way and then hops to the high note. That's really something that did develop that's unique to string playing. But I like it. So most things we take from singers, but that one, not exactly. The Heifetz slide, on the other hand, does more approximate how a singer might slide, and it's a little bit of an illusion, but the same two notes would be, so you can see it kind of gives the impression of sliding right up to the high note. Now, as I say, there's a little bit of sleight of hand or an illusion here, because the way to do that, unless you're going to go with only one finger, which you could, but most of the time that's not what you do. If you're going to go from 1 to 3, like we were talking about, you have to put the third finger down at a certain point. And if you do this, you're going to hear that middle note, which you don't want to hear. So you have to be sure to put the third finger down extremely lightly. That's a slow version. See, you can't really hear that the third finger is going down clearly. So it's so light, and then as you get up to the high note, then you put down more pressure. So when that's a little faster, you can hear it. It almost sounds like you're going the whole way, the way a singer would.